told you before you took this job, like, hey, halfway through the season, you're gonna have the most wins in the NBA. You're gonna be 6.5 games up on the 2 seed. Like, what do you think he would have said?
Well, after the preseason we had, I was wondering, like, oh my gosh, like, are we seriously, like, that's how we think as coaches. We were remember how bad we were in preseason, and I think even the Chicago game we tried to play our guys, our main guys, just to try to get a win to get us some confidence. So if you would have told me after that game we're gonna have to, I thought it was gonna be a fight, a struggle. Obviously we wanted to improve, but there was no, there were no signs, right? I knew we had a good training camp, and I knew we were working well, but there was no kind of confidence that this thing was going to go this way, and we're going to have so ultimate surprise, really.
Um, Evan out again tonight. I remember last year talking to Jarrett when Evan was missing time. Like, he had said something in the effect of, like, he has such a great relationship with Evan.
Yeah.
Especially on the court.
Yes.
And he's like, yeah, man, like, sometimes I take the easy way out and just, like, lob it up to him. Like, I'm so used to him being there, right?
Yeah.
So just curious, like, what you've seen now with him when Evan's not there, his game.
I mean, he'd obviously rather have Evan there to support him, but I also think he kind of relishes it a little bit. Now you're the main target. You're that you're that main lob threat. He obviously handles the ball more, JA, right? Without Evan, we use him in that trail position, so all that zoom action, all that stuff. So JA subtly likes the responsibility. Like he relishes it, and I felt like in the Minnesota game, like even with the rim protection, I felt like he's like, I'm kind of the only one out here. I got to do it myself. So as more responsibility is thrust upon him, the more he relishes it. That being said, he wishes Evan was there to support, but he's just a quiet competitor, JA.
As a coach, like, do you challenge him at all? Like, hey, man, like, this is your night. Like, you're the big out there.
That's the greatest thing about JA. When you challenge him, he answers. And you got to find the right times. It's not, you can even be aggressive with your challenge in terms of, like, come on, we need more, or you can do this better. As soon as you give him something, I can do this better. He takes it as a challenge and usually responds.
Tom?
Thanks, BJ. Hey, Kenny, I don't
Hey,
know
Tom.
if Beal's playing tonight or not, but they're an offensive. They got
Yeah.
three-headed monster, if you will. What kind of defensive challenge is this team?
Great defensive challenge. If we can, you're not going to stop them. We got to slow them down. We have to slow them down. It's a great challenge. They got three of the best ISO pick and roll players and off-ball screening team, big time. Bud is a great offensive coach, so it's a huge challenge, Tom.
You mentioned the travel before.
Yeah.
If we always report it as much as we should, just the challenges of travel and getting to a hotel at 4 a.m. and playing that night and things like that. Is that how tough is it when things get kind of schedule gets thrown around like it does?
This time of year, it's really tough because you get the mental grind, and that. Players are the main thing, but staff, media that travels, our whole group, right? We travel as a group. You really have to reach to get your energy level and your resiliency, and it's not just the current travel, but you see what's ahead, right? In Houston and then Philly, and then even this game, it's an early game, and they're they're traveling too, so it's all of us. It's part of what makes, I guess, NBA players, that they're so elite. I'm always just so impressed and with how they handle it. Our response in Minnesota, like I think I said pregame, it's I thought we'd be ready mentally. I was worried about the physical part, like if we could answer the bell, and we did. And today's another challenge, right? I think we'll meet the mental challenge because our group is so strong, but the physical challenge is where you got to have both to succeed in this league. So And Tom, that comes down to all the preparation, right? All guys getting treatment. I saw Donovan in yesterday. He's the first guy in getting cold tub. Like, man, I'm like, man, didn't you want to just hang out in Richfield and watch the NFL games? And here he is. I said, what are you doing? I'm going to get my cold tub and just. And my son was with me. I'm like, this is why this guy's a superstar. This is why he is who he is. They're just incredible workers at the end of the day.
Coach, we talked a little bit about Evan. I noticed on the injury report it got upgraded from a calf soreness to a calf strain. Could you tell us a little bit more about that injury?
Yeah, I think at first it was like, was it a hit? Right? Hit is a little different, but it is a strain. So I anticipate him. It's I think it's going to be day to day, and that's what Steve told me. It's not like a bad strain, a slight strain. So, so again, I think I don't think it's going to be long term. I think it's going to be a pretty short thing and be day to day. So yeah, that's kind of where we're at.
And then with Isaac, obviously him being out with the same right shoulder injury,
Yeah.
had him out for a little bit. Is there like a thought process of just waiting until he's 100%?
A little bit that, right? This one's a little bit trickier, right? Like it's a shoulder, it's shooting shoulder, all the stuff that gets it. We want him. I want him. Steve wants him. Our whole medical group. We want him in a great place when he comes back. So we just got to figure out what that looks like. And there's a lot of, there's some hurdles to get there. But I do think when he did come back, there was just still bothered a little. And he's such a tough guy. He wanted to play through it and did a great job on the defensive end. I think it affects your shooting a little bit. So he won't say that, but we know that was the case. So we'll seek to get him right for the long haul.
Okay.
With Evan being out, that obviously means more Dean at the 5
Yeah.
in certain lineups. What do you like about having him play center?
Yeah, just this floor spacing. I mean, you saw it against Minnesota. We're going to get shots. Once you put him at the 5, you just imagine with our ball handling, and now you got they got to deal with 5 guys that can shoot. It's harder to guard, and then defensively with him, we're still good, right? Our net rating with him on the floor at the 5 is, in a small sample size, has been really good. So we'll continue to look at that. Just one caveat to that: we just got to be careful, like. All of a sudden, putting Dean up to 35 minutes a game, right? And not that he can't do it. It's like, it's tough to go from 22, 24, all of a sudden we're good, so we're keeping an eye on that, if that makes sense.
How confident are you in him being able to play center no matter what the matchup is on the
Completely
other side?
confident. I don't know if Shaquille O'Neal walked in, and I do think there's the Embiids of the world. There are certain matchups. But the way you see this league now, you see OKC, they go small all the time. Like I know from your guys' perspective, there's a fear like, oh my gosh, they got a big guy. We can't forget he's 6'9.5". Rim protection is a big part of it. He can hold his own in the post against anybody. So, it's a great tool to have, and I think it's a great tool to have come playoff time, too.
Tim.
Kenny, I know it's one game at a time, but the second half does start today. Is there an anticipation or an expectation that the second half will be somewhat different than the first half? And if so, what is that?
Yeah, I mean, listen, to repeat what we did in the first half, it's that would be miraculous, just because our schedule's harder, right? A lot harder, right? I think we go from the easiest schedule first half to maybe one of the hardest schedules. So just in that, just knowing the NBA, March is a beast, right? With our travel. That being said, that's why we're, how it is. We're process oriented. We're just going to keep getting better. But it's going to be, difficult to repeat the same record for a lot of reasons.
And circling back to what Tom asked you about
Yeah.
the physical nature of the grind of the NBA, how beneficial is it that your bench is giving you so much
Oh.
that the regular starters' workload isn't as heavy?
It's huge, and I do think that's been a little bit of a shift, right? Playing 10 guys helps, helps with that. We can go 11 deep, we go 12 deep. Tonight we'll still play 10. We got some guys banged up. We'll still play 10. I believe in it. We got to do that for the long haul, and it helps us with the physical, continuous physical response that we need.
Last two, Joe and then Spence.
Yeah. Joe.
Before the season, Jarrett talked about wanting to play all 82 games. He's
Yeah.
41. He had some injury concerns at the end of the last couple of years. Where do you and the performance team stand on him going 82?
Yeah. My perspective, just my opinion, he doesn't need it to prove anything to me. And I've told him this, and this is just completely, on the other hand, I do respect and admire his goal to play 82. So in this case, he wins out because I saw it with Kaman Looney. Same thing. There's just some guys they wanna prove to themselves that they can do it, and that's where you got to have an empathetic and understanding of where the player is and meet him. Now I fought him on it, right? Come on, JA. Like I want to, we want to be cognizant of your load and all that. And our performance team has that conversation, but he rules in this particular case. And like I said, I respect the heck out of it.
And then with Jarrett, not all big men have good hands. He has great hands.
Yeah.
How does that change things for your guards and what you want to run?
Yeah, so great hands and great footwork. And it's a great point. It's like teams blitz the heck out of us. They double team us. Remember the first OKC game? J.A. was really the difference maker. We hit him. He was a tight end over the middle against the blitz. He catches it, and then he makes the right read. And that's really, excuse me, been a big progress for him. When we first had him in Brooklyn, that was not his strength. So his development, that's his main offensive development, main offensive improvement area, and he's done it. We feel super comfortable. Go ahead, blitz us. We'll throw it to Jay in the pocket, and he'll make a great decision.
Last one, Spence.
A lot's been made of Donovan obviously stepping to the side and helping foster growth for the other guys. When it comes to like what his tendencies may have been prominently before, like driving to the rim and trying to finish and stuff like that, his conversion rate at the rim is a little bit lower than it's been in the past. Is there anything that you're seeing on that part of it? Because he's obviously improved as a three-point shooter, he's playmaking for teammates, but that particular era has actually kind of taken a downturn.
Do you know what percentile is and how much it's dipped?
I
should know it. You shouldn't be telling me, but
I think
it's great.
Down by like 8-9% or something like that.
Yeah. I don't know. Finishing at the rim is a bit tricky. Not statistic wise, but for a player, right? It's we use the phrase "read the rim," right? So it depends who's at the rim, right? If Dikembe Mutombo's at the rim, you might not want to finish on him, right? You might want to, probe. We talked to DG, we talked to our guards a lot about this. So I don't see anything from a physical standpoint or a technical standpoint. I'd have to do a deeper dive into, is he challenging maybe guys he shouldn't at the rim? Is he not reading that rim correctly? I'm glad you said it's not a 20% dip. It's a 9% dip, and then also what goes with that, what volume is he getting at the rim at? Is it is volume and then efficiency? Definitely we'll dive in deeper. I can expand on it as I analyze it. I wish his player development coach was in here. I could ask him. He'd definitely get more specific. But Donovan, he loves attacking the rim. He's been a good finisher his whole career. But definitely something we got to look at in terms of his improving his efficiency there. He should be where he is or even better with the spacing we have.